Emily Foster was alone in her apartment when the phone rang. It was late, too late for anyone to be calling. She frowned, glancing at the clock. 11:47 p.m. Her phone vibrated against the coffee table, the screen lighting up with an unknown number. She hesitated. It could be a scam call, a wrong number, or something equally unimportant. But something about it felt off. The number looked familiar, almost like... She swallowed hard, her heart picking up pace. It looked like his number. No, that was impossible. She had deleted it months ago, because her brother was dead. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the phone. The ringing seemed louder now, insistent, urgent. Finally, she answered. Hello? For a moment, there was only static, a faint crackling noise. Then, a voice, soft, distorted, but unmistakable. Emily? Her stomach dropped. She knew that voice. She knew it better than her own. Matt! Silence. Her breath hitched. It couldn't be. It couldn't be him. Matt had died 6 months ago in a car accident. She had identified his body herself. The funeral, the grief, the unbearable emptiness of losing her only brother. She had lived through it all. But now his voice was here, on the other end of the line. Emily, listen to me. Matt's voice came again, shaky and urgent. You have to leave. Now. Her skin prickled. What? She started, but the static flared, drowning out her words. His voice came through again, broken and desperate. Emily, he's coming. Don't let him in. The call cut off. Silence. The line went dead. Emily stared at her phone, her pulse hammering in her ears. What the hell had just happened? She tried to call the number back. Disconnected. A cold shiver ran down her spine. Had she imagined it? Had the grief finally cracked something inside her? Her thoughts were racing, trying to make sense of what she had just heard. Then, a knock at the door. A single, deliberate knock. Emily froze. The air in her apartment suddenly felt too thick, too heavy. Slowly, she turned toward the door. Her phone slipped from her fingers, landing on the floor with a dull thud. Because beyond the door, in the dimly lit hallway, she could see a shadow. A tall, unmoving figure, waiting. Emily's breathing came in shallow bursts, her chest rising and falling in rapid succession. She forced herself to think logically. Maybe it was a mistake, a hallucination. Maybe she was hearing things, a trick of exhaustion, grief, stress. But the shadow outside her door was real, and it hadn't moved. A heavy, suffocating stillness filled the room, pressing down on her shoulders like an invisible weight. She took a shaky step backward. Her instinct screamed at her to run. But where? She was on the 3rd floor. No fire escape. No back door. The only way out was through the very door where he stood. Her mind replayed Matt's words, each syllable cutting through her panic, like a jagged blade. Don't let him in. Emily swallowed hard. She inched toward the peephole. Slow. Careful. Every movement is deliberate. She was terrified. But she had to see. The wood felt ice cold against her skin as she pressed her forehead against the door. With a trembling breath, she looked through the tiny glass lens. And there he was, a man, tall, dressed in dark clothing, standing completely still. The hallway light flickered, bathing him in sporadic flashes of dim, yellowish glow. Her fingers dug into the doorframe. His posture was unnatural, too rigid, too deliberate, like he wasn't just standing there, but waiting. Emily's stomach churned. His face was hidden beneath the shadows. She couldn't make out his features, but something told her she didn't want to. He wasn't shifting his weight. He wasn't swaying, breathing, adjusting his stance. Nothing. Like he wasn't human at all. A cold, creeping sensation ran up her spine. Emily took a step back, her fingers hovering over her phone on the floor, her mind racing. She had called someone. The police. A neighbor. Anyone. Then, another knock. Harder. More forceful. Boom. 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 The sound exploded through the apartment, vibrating the walls. Emily gasped, stumbling backward. Her legs felt like lead, heavy and useless beneath her. She clutched her chest, trying to steady her breath. But she couldn't. Her heart pounded wildly, erratic and frantic, her body teetering on the edge of panic. She wanted to scream, wanted to run, but all she could do was stare at the door. Boom, 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 louder this time, like a battering ram against the wood. Something in her gut twisted violently, sending nausea rolling through her stomach. This wasn't just some stranger. This wasn't a confused neighbor knocking on the wrong door. This was something else. A presence. Something that shouldn't be here. Emily pressed a trembling hand to her mouth, biting down on her lip to keep from sobbing. The knocking stopped. A beat of silence. Then, a voice. Low, raspy. Not Matt's. Emily. She sucked in a sharp breath, her blood turning to ice. He knew her name. The voice was wrong. Distorted. Like a recording played at the wrong speed. Slow, dragging, inhuman. Like something trying to sound human. Tears burned her eyes. She clapped a hand over her mouth, willing herself to stay silent. Maybe if she didn't move, didn't breathe, he would leave. Maybe he would think she wasn't home. Let me in. Her stomach twisted. No, 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 no. It was a command, not a question, a demand. The doorknob rattled violently, twisting, jerking, wrenching back and forth with unnatural force. The lock was held. For now, Emily stumbled back, gripping her phone so tightly her knuckles turned white. She had to get out. Now. She scrambled to unlock her phone, but her fingers were slick with sweat, shaking too badly to type 911. Dial 911. But before she could press the call button, the knocking stopped. Silence. Her ears rang from the absence of sound. Her heart pounded in her throat. Was he gone? She strained to hear. Nothing. Then, a whisper. So close. Too close. It was coming from inside the apartment. Don't turn around. She spun anyway, and nothing was there. But the moment she did, the knocking resumed, louder, more violent, more desperate. Her body moved before her brain caught up. She bolted for her bedroom, slamming the door shut and locking it. She grabbed her phone and, with trembling hands, finally managed to dial 911. A woman's voice answered, calm and collected. 911, what's your emergency? Emily sucked in a shaky breath. Someone is trying to break into my apartment. The operator asked for her address. Emily whispered it as quietly as she could. Stay on the line with me, the operator said. Officers are on their way. Another knock. But this time, it came from inside the apartment. Emily's breath caught. Her eyes darted to the closet, the bathroom, the dark corners of her room. No, that wasn't possible. The voice from the other side of the door spoke again. Emily, open the door. Matt's voice. But it wasn't him. Tears spilled down her cheeks. No, no, no. Please hurry, she whispered into the phone. The knocking grew more intense, more frantic. Then it stopped, a beat of silence. And then, the sound of footsteps. Moving away, Emily held her breath, straining to hear. The apartment grew eerily silent. Minutes passed. Then the sound of sirens. Red and blue lights flashed through her window. She barely heard the officers knocking at the door. Somehow, she managed to unlock it, throwing herself into the hallway as soon as they entered. They searched the apartment. No sign of forced entry. No footprints. No one there. The call records on her phone? No trace of Matt's number. It was as if none of it had ever happened. The officers stayed with her for a while, their calm voices attempting to soothe her frayed nerves. Ma'am, I promise. Your door was locked when we arrived, one of them said, his voice steady, professional. Emily nodded absently, barely hearing him. Safe. They kept saying she was safe. That it was probably stress, exhaustion, grief playing tricks on her mind. Maybe they were right. Maybe she had imagined the voice, the whispers. Maybe she had imagined the way the air in her apartment had felt charged, thick, suffocating. But deep down, she knew the truth. Something had been here, and something was still watching. As the officers prepared to leave, one of them lingered by the doorway. Ma'am, he said, his brow furrowed. "Are you absolutely sure you didn't let anyone in?" Emily's stomach turned. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Why would he ask that? Something in his tone made her skin crawl. "Why?" she managed to whisper. The officer hesitated, then took a small step aside. And that's when she saw it. Her breath hitched. Carved in the wood of her front door, deep, jagged letters that hadn't been there before. A message. "See you soon." The room seemed to tilt. The floor felt unsteady beneath her feet. Her throat closed up, her pulse hammering in her ears. She could still feel it. That presence. That wrongness. Like something was still there, lurking just out of sight, waiting. The officer said something else, but Emily didn't hear him. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Her vision tunneled, narrowing on the words, the sharp, uneven cuts in the wood. Someone had done this. Something had done this. Somewhere, in the distance, a phone rang. Shrill, piercing. Emily flinched. Her phone was still on the table, screen dark. The ringing wasn't coming from her apartment. It was coming from somewhere else. It rang, and rang. The officers didn't seem to notice. She swallowed hard, her fingers curling into fists. The phone kept ringing. Her mind screamed at her to answer. But this time, she didn't. The night air was crisp, carrying the scent of damp earth, rotting leaves, and something metallic, something Jason couldn't quite place. The towering silhouette of Black Hollow Asylum loomed against the moonlit sky, its jagged roof cutting into the darkness like a row of broken teeth. The structure had been abandoned for decades, yet it stood defiant against time, its presence heavy, almost suffocating. The asylum's windows were shattered, their broken edges catching the faint glow of the moon like shards of glass in an open wound. Vines twisted up the crumbling brickwork, clawing at the structure as if trying to drag it back into the earth. The building itself seemed to breathe, the cool night air whistling through its hollow corridors, creating an eerie, whispering sound that sent shivers down Jason's spine. The heavy iron gates groaned as Jason pushed them open, their rusted hinges shrieking like something alive.